Last week, the Miami Dolphins shocked the NFL world and fans of the Miami Dolphins and basically everybody around the NFL when they defeated the Buffalo Bills in dominating fashion. Now, this week, they go to Madrid, Spain to take on the 3-7 Washington Commanders. It is the 3-7 Commanders against the 3-7 Miami Dolphins. 9:30 in the morning. I bet everybody is going to be waking up for this game. Said nobody. If you are not a fan of the Washington Commanders, or you're not a fan of the Miami Dolphins, or you're just not a football guru, there is no way you are waking up at 9:30 in the morning to watch this game. Could it be a fun game? Possibly. I don't know. The Commanders are so banged up on both sides of the ball, but I just can't fathom how anybody outside of Commanders, Dolphins, or like football gurus are going to be waking up to watch this game at 9:30 in the morning. I'm excited. Yes, I'm excited, but I'm not getting ahead of myself. I'm not saying that this is going to be an easy win. This should be a cakewalk. They should go in there and take care of business. I'm not saying that because even though they beat the Buffalo Bills last week and it was amazing, they're still 3-7. This has still been a 3-win season for the Miami Dolphins. So it's been a really bad season. But I am not going to sit there, puff my chest out like a bunch of Dolphins fans are this week on social media. I think a problem this week with our fan base is we've gotten too cocky. And I don't like that. And us as a fan base, we need to be humbled. Because yes, we deserve to be better. We deserve better. We pay our hard-earned money to this team, to this product. Absolutely. But when we get a shocking win like we did last week and we are still out of the playoff race and probably not going to be back in the playoff race for the season, you're like, you get this win and you're like, oh, but the schedule gets easy. And yeah, the schedule does get easy. But you know what? Those other teams that are looking at us on the schedule, they're looking at us and they're like, that's an opportunity for us to get a win. 100% telling you the truth. Teams like the Commanders, teams like the Saints are looking at the Dolphins on the schedule like that's an opportunity to get a win. After what's been a bad season, that's an opportunity to get a win. Now, should the Dolphins win this game? I think they should. They are going into this game as favorites, believe it or not. I believe it's the first time since I want to say the Carolina game in week 5 that they're going into this game as favorites. The Dolphins are 2.5-point favorites on a neutral site in Miami. Not in Miami, in Madrid. And I'm actually excited for the game, believe it or not. I'm actually really excited for this football game. And I think this is the first time like I've actually been excited for a Dolphins game since about week 2. You know, when we lost to the Patriots, unfortunately they crushed my heart that day again. But when I say us as a fan base need to and we need to be humbled, we need to be cocky. We need to realize that this team's 3-7. And this is not the type of team who is just going to automatic, all of a sudden, they're going to get better at the end of the season. And that's not who we are. So, this is a good opportunity for the Dolphins to go out there in front of an international audience, in front of a worldwide audience, and display a very good performance against a Washington Commanders team who going into this season we thought was going to be again a top 10 team in the NFL, but injuries have absolutely derailed the Washington Commanders season as they're sitting here today 3-7. And you look at their schedule and what's happened to them the last couple weeks, their defense is horrendous. Horrendous. They've got a bottom 5 defense in the NFL. They gave up 44 to the Lions, 38 to Seattle, 28 to Kansas City, 44 to Dallas, and 25 to the Chicago Bears. Their defense is awful. It's absolutely awful. And I think the Dolphins have an opportunity this weekend to go ahead and, they have an opportunity to go ahead this weekend and have another really nice offensive performance like they did last week against the Buffalo Bills. And I remember the game in 2023. We just went in there, and the Commanders were just like this, a bad football team. End of the season. They just went in there, and Tua had one of his best games of his career. Achan went off. Jalen Waddle had an awesome game. The defense got a touchdown. Tyreek Hill, when he was healthy in 2023, unbelievable game. So maybe we get a game like this, like we did in 2023 on Sunday for the Miami Dolphins. But you can't overlook this team. It doesn't matter how banged up they are. They got a player suspended or whatever. You can't go into this game and be like, "Oh, it's the Commanders. We should win." No, that's a bad mindset because this team is also 3-7. Do I have more confidence in this team after last week? Yeah. Am I more excited to watch this team after last week? You bet your ass I am. But I understand what this team is. I understand what they've done to me throughout the years. So I wouldn't be surprised if they go overseas to Spain and they lay an egg. I just wouldn't be shocked by that whatsoever. And you want the hope of maybe this team goes on a run. I don't know. But if you're in the section of the fan base that want that, you need to win games like this against the Commanders. And then you go into the bye week with some momentum. You go to the bye week on a winning streak. So, let's dive into it. We got the injury report, stats, and then we're going to compare each team's offense and defense against each other. Let's do it. The Dolphins injury report and the Commanders injury report. I don't really have much to say on the Dolphins. It's really nice, but Bradley Chubb popped up today with a foot injury, limited. He's questionable. Rasul Douglas is questionable. And D. Eskridge is questionable. But the one name that I'm excited about is Austin Jackson. Practice this week. He was limited Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and he is doubtful. He's not going to play this week, but the fact that he's practicing is an awesome sign. And we get the bye week next week, so maybe just maybe, we get Austin Jackson back for that game against the New Orleans Saints. That would be a nice boost for this offensive line. And we could send Larry Borom right to the bench where he belongs. Now, you look at the Commanders, and they had players ruled out early in the week. Treylon Burks, who debuted last week against the Lions, he's out with a finger injury. Jaden Daniels, he will not play. Safety Will Harris will not play. Defensive end Drake Jackson will not play. Linebacker Ali Kahu will not play because of concussion protocol. And Scary Terry McLaurin will not play against the Washington Commanders And defensive lineman Deron Payne is suspended because he punched Amon-Ra St. Brown in the face last week because St. Brown did the Trump dance when he did the touchdown because President Trump was in attendance for the Lions Commanders game last week. So where do we start from here? We'll start with the Washington Commanders offense against the Miami Dolphins defense. And is the Dolphins defense back is the question. They held their own against the Baltimore Ravens on Thursday Night Football, in my opinion. They held their own. They did what they could do. That second half was not pretty, though, by any means. And last week, they had their best game of the season. They forced 3 turnovers on the Buffalo Bills offense, which you haven't seen all season. Bills are a top 5 offense in the NFL, as much as we hate them. And the Dolphins defense, they got 3 takeaways against them. So the question going into this week is, can they maintain the turnovers? Can they maintain this level of success on defense as a collective? They're going up against a Washington Commanders offense where, yeah, they're not going to have Jaden Daniels, but Marcus Mariota is a very good backup quarterback, and I will not take him lightly. Marcus Mariota is an experienced quarterback. He was the number 1 overall pick. I think he got drafted by, I want to say the Titans, I think. I don't remember who he got drafted by. I honestly don't remember. He's bounced around a lot, but on the Commanders this year, he's had some really good games, even though they haven't won those games. He's had some very decent games with the Washington Commanders. He played well last week against the Lions. He had a great game this year against the Atlanta Falcons, a great game against the Las Vegas Raiders. He had a bit of a bad game against the Kansas City Chiefs. And then he came in for Jaden Daniels against Dallas, and he had a nice game. So, with Jaden Daniels out, Washington has a very good backup quarterback. So, I will not take Marcus Mariota lightly going into this game. But with Terry McLaurin out, the Commanders, they don't have much help at receiver. They got Deebo Samuel, who is not the same Deebo Samuel that he was in San Francisco. He's their number 1 option. Then behind them, they got Jalen Lane, the rookie receiver out of Virginia Tech. Robbie Chosen, ex-Miami Dolphin, okay. Chris Moore. So those are their 4 receivers. Deebo Samuel, Jalen Lane, Robbie Chosen, and Chris Moore. So, and then they got a very good offensive line, too. But these are the stats head-to-head. Commanders' offense against the Dolphins' defense. Commanders' offense is ranked 18th with 325 yards per game. The Dolphins' defense is ranked 24th with 347 yards allowed per game. The Commanders' passing offense is 27th, 203 yards per game in the air. The Dolphins' passing defense is ranked 13th, particularly because teams have been running the ball all over them this year. The Commanders' rushing offense is 7th, 135 yards per game on the ground. And the Dolphins' rushing defense is 26th. So they've gotten better since they've beaten the Atlanta Falcons and faced Bijan Robinson. They've gotten better. So you look at these stats, and you're like, well, how can the Dolphins win this game on defense? Number 1 thing you got to do is you got to stop the run. You got to stop Washington's backfield. And they have multiple running backs that they use in the running game. They have Jacory Krosky-Merritt, who hasn't popped off yet, but, he's a 5th-round rookie. Chris Rodriguez, and Jeremy McNichols. So they use all 3 of those running backs in the running game. A lot of dump off for screens, which could be how teams utilize their running game was screen passes to the running back. But that's something we got to stop, man, because the Commanders are good at it. They're good at running the ball, and they've been down a lot these last couple games. So if we get a big lead on them early and often, guess what? That game plan for them, that goes out the window because they got to throw the ball with Marcus Mariota. That's what we want, okay? That's what we want. We want to stop the Commanders' rushing game, stop their three running backs, Krosky, Merritt, Rodriguez, and Jeremy McNichols. You got to stop their running game, okay? They had no problem stopping Bijan Robinson. They had no problem stopping James Cook last week. So hopefully the Dolphins' rushing defense, they're able to do their job against these three individuals. Second thing we got to do is contain Marcus Mariota. We contained Josh Allen last week, which is unbelievable to say that this team was able to contain Josh Allen. But how did they do it? The defensive linemen, they stayed in their rushing lane, and when Josh scrambled out, they were able to get right to them, pressure immediately. You got to do the same thing to Marcus Mariota because Mariota is a mobile quarterback, and he can take off and run at any time. So, yes, Mariota, contain him, making sure he doesn't run outside, run willy-nilly down the field. Contain him just like you did to Josh Allen last week. And number 3, what was the main reason the Dolphins defense was so successful last week? Turnovers, baby. Turnovers. They got to force turnovers on the Commanders' offense. It's not a very good offense. They have pieces. Zach Ertz is another one. I'm a little bit worried about him going into this game, but this Dolphins defense forces turnovers, just like last week against the Buffalo Bills. Good things are to come. So, stop the Commanders' running game, contain Marcus Mariota, and turnovers. And that's how you do it for the Dolphins defense. Now we go to the Miami Dolphins offense. And let me pull up stats real quick. Here we go. This is a little ugly. I'm not going to lie. The Commanders' defense is ranked 30th, 394.5 yards allowed per game. The Dolphins' offense is ranked 25th, 299 yards per game on offense. The Commanders' passing defense is ranked 31st. 273.5 yards allowed per game through the air. The Dolphins' offense is ranked 26th in the passing game, 204.5 passing yards per game. The Commanders' rushing defense is ranked 24th, 134.5 yards allowed per game on the ground. The Dolphins are 23rd, 107 yards per game on the ground. So basically, those numbers are ugly for the Commanders, okay? 31st in passing defense, 24th in rushing defense. We should be able to have a good game on offense. If this offense does not have a good game on Sunday, I am going to be very upset. And I will come on here and display that after the game in the morning. So, reading the numbers, what can this Dolphins offense do to be successful against the Commanders? Number 1, you got to run the ball. You saw what happened last week. When you run the ball with Devon Achane, who's a top 5 running back in the NFL, good things happen. Get the ball to Devon Achane, hand it off to him, hand it off to Ollie Gordon, hand it off to Jalen Wright, and let's get this run game going against the Washington Commanders, okay? That's number 1. Number 2, no stupid interceptions or turnovers by Tua Tagovailoa. I hated the psychology from Mike McDaniel after that game describing the interceptions. It's 3rd and long. I told him to chuck it down the field and give Waddle a chance. I don't like that at all because you're basically If it's 3rd and long, you're giving up on the play. You're depending on a lucky pass interference call, and I don't like that. So I would be much rather passing it off. Like, I don't like the screen passes on 3rd and long, but I would rather call a screen on like 3rd and 12 and pick up maybe 7 yards than just chucking the ball downfield and hoping for the best. I don't like that. So no stupid turnovers or any stupid interceptions from Tua Tagovailoa this week. And the last one I have is attack the Commanders' weak secondary. The Commanders do not have a good secondary. They are banged up. Jonathan Jones is their number one corner, ex-Patriot corner. And they got their both starting corners, Trey Amos and Marshawn Lattimore. They're both hurt. So you got Jonathan Jones and you got Antonio Hamilton. I don't know who their nickel is, but they don't have a good secondary. So when you have the opportunity and the run game is working and you can pass the ball, fucking attack that secondary because that's what you got to do. So those are my keys for the Dolphins offense against the Commanders defense. And I'm excited. I'm not going to give a prediction on the game just because that's not who I am. Again, you look at this in the beginning of the season, you're like, oof. The Commanders in Spain against Jaden Daniels, sophomore year. Team just went to the NFC Championship. That's why I don't do record predictions right before the season starts. I just do season preview because you could face something like this where the Commanders are absolutely banged up and they have no Terry McLaurin and they have no Jaden Daniels and they have no Deron Payne and no Marshawn Lattimore. They're playing with a lot of backups, but good backups. Marcus Mariota is a good backup quarterback. I'm going to give him the respect. So I'm hoping this team wins. I'm going in the mindset, man, you watch the NFL and you play in the NFL to see your guys win, to see your favorite team win. Okay? We'll get the draft picks at another day. But for now, I want this team to go to Madrid and I want them to win. And I want them to be 4-7 going into the bye week because you will have momentum going into the bye week. So, I'm not saying this is going to be an easy game. Both teams are 3-7, but go in there and get the fucking job done. Make us fans happy. So, I'm getting out of here. Thank you guys so much. Subscribe to the Big Fight Field channel. We'll be back on here Sunday around 12:30, maybe like 1 o'clock, because the game's at 9:30 in the morning. So I would say like 1 o'clock. We'll film the review, and then it should be up by like around 2 o'clock on Sunday. And then that might be all the football I watch. I got some schoolwork or whatever, but I don't know. I will definitely be watching this game. I wouldn't miss this game for the world. Subscribe, comment down below, hit the like button if you like what you heard from me. Follow me on Twitter and TikTok at Colin_Joseph. I will be live tweeting during the game on Sunday. I can't wait. I'll see you guys here, hopefully after a Dolphins victory. Have a good night. Stay safe. And as always, stay classy and go Dolphins.